Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Dominick Reyes, and you're listening to MMALatestNews.com.
It's time to roll, baby.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to MMA Latest. This is Split Decision. We are here with Jonny. I'm Mitchell, and we are here to discuss UFC 247, where we saw Jon Jones defend his light heavyweight title against Dominick Reyes in what was quite a controversial finish. We was up at 6 a.m. Sunday morning, and I'd seen Dominick Reyes go to war with Jones for 3 rounds, but we saw Jones...
Controversy. Rears its ugly head again, my son, doesn't it?
You know what? The judging in Texas is properly questionable. We saw some outrageous decisions going through the whole card. You know, Tim Krause got, he clearly won a first round. That didn't go towards him. We had the main event. We saw Andrea Lee get hard done by, Andre Ewell was very lucky to get a unanimous decision victory against Jonathan Martinez. Decision was all over the house.
Shambolic, and for me, they need glasses, these judges. I don't know what they're watching.
I think they've been wearing glasses.
I don't understand it. You tell Jones, let's get to the nuts and bolts. Jon Jones, how did you score it? Honestly.
I gave the first 2 rounds to Dominick Reyes. I gave the last 2 rounds to Jon Jones. I thought the third round probably is a draw. I would say the third round's a draw.
No,
it's difficult to score.
Can't agree with you there, mate. Cannot agree with you. The first 3 rounds, Reyes outstruck Jones, outfought him. He won the first 3 rounds clearly. He dropped him in one of them. I don't know if it was that.
It didn't get counted. I think it was in the first or second round, weren't it? But it wasn't actually counted.
It's unbelievable. He absolutely... I think, for me, Jon Jones is at a crossroads of his career. I still believe he's one of the greatest, despite your decision to give James that victory last week and tap out. I'm still not happy
He showed on Saturday why he's
James, if you're watching, I'm coming for you, mate. Just remember that. For me, Jon Jones is not the same fighter he was. It was a shadow of his former self. No creativity, no ideas, just plodded forward. For me, he was just headhunting. He looked big, he looks bulky. Where's the athletic ability gone? Where's the creativity? I didn't see any of it. I was very disappointed in his performance. It highlights lack of discipline in the training camp. He's either took Reyes lightly or this muscle that he's put on. We see these Instagram clips of him bulking up, doing a lot of strength and conditioning, but he looks slow. It's detrimental to him. Any athlete knows if you put muscle on, that's going to slow you down. And for a fighter who relies on his agility, it's kryptonite, and he just doesn't look the same fighter to me.
I think a lot of props need to be given to Dominick Reyes. I don't think we've seen Jon Jones in a while face an athlete quite like that, because he did come out looking phenomenal for the first 15 minutes.
Agree.
And he's never gone 5 rounds in his career. That was his his second main event, but his first 5-round fight. But he is an athlete from an American football background, so he's got that cardio in him, and he showed in the first 3 rounds that he deserved to be there. I think Jon Jones he took him a bit easy to begin with, and to build up to the fight, I think Reyes earned his respect, and he earned his money, and he deserved to be probably champion at the end of the night. But I think Jon Jones came in at 204, so he was lighter than Reyes. I don't know if he was lighter than Reyes on the actual fight night and what the weights were, but he still had good movement. He still had some good striking, and he showed to everyone he's got a good chin, and he's probably better defensively. He showed that he was better defensively than he was.
Yeah, I agree.
Fights.
For me, Reyes had a definitive game plan. He came out targeting the body, creating angles, slipping in and out.
Couple head kicks in there.
Head kicks. Nice. His movement, he reminded me of a heavy Dominick Cruz, to be fair, just constant movement. But there's a difference. When you're a mover, at some point you have to plant your feet to generate the power. And that's what he did. Every time he was in the pocket, uppercuts, left hooks, body kicks. He fucking mauled Jones for the first 3 rounds. I don't care what anyone says. You take away the championship, the greatest of all time accolade. He won the first 3 rounds, Reyes. Jon Jones looked bamboozled, didn't know what to do. And a few times, I know we've mentioned this off air, that for me, he turned his back a few times, Jones. Every time he got kicked or a few jabs, he did get put
into trouble a couple of times. And there was a couple of times where your heart's almost in your mouth thinking, oh, are we going to see Anu here? Are we going to see the fight stopped?
Well, that, for me, when you turn your back like that, anyone who's ever been in the ring or an octagon will tell you that's a lack of sparring. That means you haven't been sparring like you should do. The reactions weren't there. So, has he had an injury? Is he took training camp lightly? He just plodded forward and just headhunted, just trying to... And he wasn't even throwing bunches and punches. He was just looking for a left hook, right hook. And Reyes just absolutely mauled him. And for me, I just don't understand how you. And one of the judges gave it 4-1.
Yeah, I don't know how you can give that fight 4-1. At the very most, it's 3-2 to Jon Jones, but it's definitely not 4-1.
No, it was no way 3-2 to Jon Jones because Mitch. How can you tell me in that third round that I've watched it plenty of times now? The first 3 rounds, Reyes wins. There's no doubt about that. There's no if, buts, or maybes. He won the first 3 rounds.
I think, I know we have to look at the scoring now. Kansas State are opening up open scoring or real time scoring, so you'll be able to see that in the crowd. But I think the way that those 2 takedowns were counted, and he kept him down for maybe 10 seconds at max. Reyes just popped straight back up, and that seemed to have worked in Jon Jones' favour in the 4th and 5th round. Though he definitely picked up the pace. He showed why he's the veteran. He's been in so many championship fights. He now holds the record for the most title wins in a title.
2011, he's been the champion. But what I will say about Jones, take away his performance, that guy is a bad motherfucker. He is a bad dude. When it gets to the trenches and you're in a fucking dogfight, he shows up, mate.
You see what happened with Gustafsson 1. You saw what happened with Thiago Santos, really. Thiago Santos took him
animal.
Somewhat in that, it was a more comfortable fight, but, Santos was more that headhunter, whereas Dominick Reyes came in as more probably the more smarter and more intelligent fighter with more of the game plan.
I've got to say, I slept on Reyes last week. I certainly
he's undefeated for a reason. You saw what he did to Chris Weidman, who is a former champion. Now, Chris Weidman's not the Chris Weidman that was champion.
No.
But, 12-0, now 12-1, is some feat, and he's not been out of the first round too much.
His movement impressed me. I mean, he thinks he's got slick boxing, slick striking, and what really impressed me the most is takedown defense. Fucking hell, round 4 and 5 on your tire.
I think it was 2 out of 9 was the result for Jon Jones, and either of those 2 were arguably not takedowns because he didn't control them.
Well, this is the debate. I can't understand if you take someone down and they pop up straight away, where you've not done any damage to them, why should that be scored so highly? I just don't understand. For me, an effective jab is worth more than a takedown when you get taken back up. I just don't understand that.
Yeah, I think it's tough, but I think what it has done is add a little bit of spice to the light heavyweight division again, because Dominick Reyes probably does deserve a bit more credit. He deserves a rematch potentially. Now, this weekend we see Corey Anderson versus Jan Blachowicz, which, one of those 2 could easily, with a good performance, pop up into the contention. And, we've got Thiago Santos coming back, Anthony Smith coming back soon. So it does add a little bit more to that light heavyweight division, and it probably gives Jon Jones a reason not to move up yet.
Let me tell you, 10 years ago, light heavyweight division was the best division in the game. Chuck Liddell, Tito Ortiz, Machida, Shogun, Rampage, who's who are fighters. Now there's Corey Anderson. I'm excited to watch that fight, not really. I think Jon Jones, the lack of big names to compete against is affecting him. When it's the big fights, he shows up and he's skilled, and you see the creativity. I think the last 2 performances is either on the decline or he's just not getting up for the names. They're not big enough names to get the juices flowing. I want to see a big monster. I want to see a big fight, a big pay-per-view fight. Was this really a great pay-per-view card?
It turned out to be.
To be fair, it turned out to be good, but did I have the beer and popcorn out? Not really.
Not at 6 a.m. in the morning, I weren't.
Not at 6
No, that was, that is probably the killer, because, I'll be honest, I fell asleep between the Derek Lewis fight and Valentina Shevchenko. I woke up in the second round of Jon Jones thinking, what's going on here? Are we going to see a new champion? But I rewatched the fight. The scoring, as we said, is probably a little off. It's not a robbery. It's not the biggest robbery we've ever seen.
It's a 100%.
It's definitely something that needs to be looked at. And, Kansas City, as we mentioned, are opening up scoring. So it's progress in the sport, perhaps. It could be a defining moment.
No, I need to go back. It was 100% a robbery. And I love Joe Rogan and Dominick Reyes, but I don't know what they were watching. They were so pro-Jones. It was unbelievable. Dominick Reyes saying Jones's boxing is legit and he's looking good and he's not tiring. His boxing was way off. He kept moving back in straight lines. He wasn't slipping anything. He was there to be hit. There was no movement. His boxing was way off. And I love Joe Rogan, but it was all pro Jones. It was Jones is coming on stronger. It wasn't like this guy's getting mauled and we're going to see a new champion. I think Dominick Reyes, to be fair, did say, look, Reyes is winning this fight. And
I think both of them, they were very outlandish on the broadcast towards the judge, and they did agree that it's definitely not 4-1 to Jon Jones. So they definitely weren't that far. They called out one of the judges for looking down on the floor a couple of times. Whether it was a judge or a commissioner, we don't know. That was still out in the open. But they're very much. This card could be remembered as one of those that changes the sport in terms of the judging perspective.
Well, I just want to go back as well, just to go back in about the fight. The 5th round, you can always tell when there's a big fight. If you look at the 2 corners, Reyes' corner was calm, cool.
I think they're his brothers.
And they knew what they were doing. Greg Jackson looked worried. The first 3 rounds, I like Greg Jackson.
Well, he hadn't won that round. He was, he wasn't bringing the belt back.
He's a bit, to be fair, he's a bit cringy to watch, Greg Jackson, when the things he says in the corner. But in the 5th round, he was saying, "You need a knockout. You need to give me. You're a lion. I need everything you've got. You need a knockout." So why is he saying that? He looked worried to me. And in regards to the judges, Rogan and Dominick Reyes were saying that they need more heads. With the judges, they need journalists or ex-fighters, someone who actually knows the game. They won't let these people in, so you're having people judging a fight. Have they ever fought before? Have they ever been in a heated battle? What are they looking at? How you can score that 4-1 to Jones is an absolute liberty. It's embarrassing.
Yeah, that wasn't even the worst decision of the night. That wasn't even the worst call of the night either from the judges. So you can see, if that wasn't the worst one, you can see what they were like for the rest of the night.
Horrendous, mate.
Someone else who did defend her title as well was Valentina Shevchenko. She looked incredible against Katlyn Chookagian. Now, without being disrespectful, the levels in that division isn't great, but still, Shevchenko's putting what's in front of her and absolutely wiping the floor with it.
She is an absolute killer. She marches forward in a Muay Thai stance. Very efficient, doesn't waste anything.
That wheel kick was incredible that she threw.
Well, you know what she does? She plants her feet. But what I will say is that no matter how dominant she was, I saw some flaws in her. First one is she is very one-paced. Now, it's a good pace, but she's very one-paced. There's no head movement there. She's a bit static. So if you bring speed and power into the equation, you will give her trouble. Every punch and every kick is with bad intention. She's looking to lay the fuck out.
She does take heads off.
She takes heads off and she's a killer. But I do believe that speed and power. Now, the opponent on Saturday brought speed but no power. Like I said before, when you move, at some point you have to plant your feet. Now, how I can describe it is Canelo Alvarez in boxing. Fluid mover, but when he throws his combinations, his feet are planted, hence his knockout record. Michael Bisping, great work rate, fantastic striker, but was criminal for never planting his feet. He never generated the power because he's consistently moving. So to beat Valentina, you have to bring speed, power, and size, and you know who brings that, don't you?
Amanda Nunes.
Well done.
I don't think it's a weird one. I don't think Clarissa Shields. Have you seen her kickboxing video that she put out? Yeah, but she's training. She means business.
You can give me a pad and I can throw a few kicks and say I'm a good kicker. It's rubbish. She's not going to come. She's not. You know why? The money's in boxing. They're not going to go to the UFC. That's why Mayweather never went to the UFC.
I think there's more smoke. There's no smoke without fire. I think there's more towards it than say Floyd Mayweather coming over. That's never happening. But I think for Valentina Shevchenko, we've got the likes of Joanne Calderwood, Jennifer Meyer is in that division. Lauren Murphy got a win this weekend. Yeah. So again, I'd like to see Joanne Calderwood just because of the British aspect. I'd like to see her get a title shot
as well.
And
tough.
Yeah, she is tough, and she's had a couple wins now. I think she's had a couple wins, so she does deserve a title shot. But again, there's just levels to that division.
There's levels to it, and similar to the light heavyweight division, there's just not the contenders there.
It's kind of awkward because if you take Shevchenko out of that division, you take Jon Jones out of the light heavyweight division. You actually have some fun matchups, but if you put those contenders against the champion, it doesn't really do anything. Because, could you imagine Anthony Smith, Thiago Santos, Jan Blachowicz, Dominick Reyes,
tournament,
man. And the same in the flyweight division. It's not because of who the champions are. Yeah. It doesn't look like a great division, but I think there's a lot of talent in there.
I don't understand why the UFC have never gone down the route of doing a tournament like Strikeforce, especially when there's no names.
I think
get people excited.
I think it's because it's a Strikeforce thing. I think we have these almost we have these tournaments, but they're not in a tournament format.
But they're not tournaments.
The top five, we have, Khabib, Tony, Conor, Gaethje's probably in that. That's probably like a two semi-finals in a way.
Yeah, but you don't need to do it in welterweight because there's names. For me, to build the fighters up and to get the fans excited again, is do a tournament in light heavyweight and do a tournament in the girls flyweight and do a tournament in divisions where there's no name, so it builds us up. It gets the profiles up.
The men's flyweight division started off with a tournament, didn't it? With Demetrius Johnson. That was a tournament they started off with. But I think, Bellator got their Grand Prix, PFL doing their thing with their seasons. So almost a tournament format is probably not in the UFC's nature. They're very much with the rankings, aren't they?
There needs to be some creativity. Like, for me, I always laugh when I watch a UFC event. They sponsor everything. They could make a cup of tea and sponsor it. This cup of tea is sponsored by... Did you see where they zoomed into one of the geezers literally drinking his beer? This beer was sponsored by...
Yeah, Modelo's very much a well-known sponsor now.
Like, we need creativity. We need someone to go in and try and mix it up a bit. We're seeing the same thing. And I've said this on previous shows. You take Conor out of the game, there's no excitement. The welterweight, right, fine, we've got Khabib. I understand that. But but light heavyweight, man, that is the golden child. That is the division. That's the
it's almost like
show, baby.
Where the sport's evolved, we've almost not lost, but you're two out of divisions, your flyweight and your bantamweight, and then on the other side you've got light heavyweight and heavyweight. It's sort of not got that strong or that division strength at the moment, whereas if you take a look between featherweight and middleweight, you've got absolute killers in there from every division.
I agree, but I just think that where the heavyweight and the light heavyweight division, because it's bigger men, so people are always going to gravitate towards that. But there is a big problem with a lack of pay-per-view stars.
I think that's maybe where the weight division needs to be added, whether it's a 195 or a 225.
I don't understand. I can never understand why they've not gone down that route to do like a light welterweight division. I just don't understand why make fighters drain every ounce of their body and then make fighters who aren't big enough for the division go up. Yeah. I mean, Darren Till was absolutely criminal.
He was massive.
How he was ever allowed to fight with how he looked is he looked like bones. He looked like a skeleton.
Yeah, 170 is scary. Well, you look at Conor at 145. That's ridiculous.
That's
when you compare him to 155 and 170.
But he showed up. Darren Till, for me, it's impacted his career because he took 2 losses, didn't he? And
he took losses to Woodley and Masvidal.
And he never looked himself. He looked weight drained. I mean, have you seen some of his videos where he's making weight for the camp? I mean, it's fucking horrendous. He looks like he's been dead 10 years.
But he looks good at 185. He dealt with Kelvin pretty well.
He looks good.
And, he has got some good wins. Cerrone beat at 170.
I love... Yes, but then you outgrow the division. There's only so many times you can go to the well. Your body... If you're killing yourself to make that weight, there's only so many times you can do that. And at the end of his reign in welterweight, he just looked tired. He looked slow, hence why he got beat twice. But now he looks fuller, he looks thick, he's got energy. So I don't understand why fighters are so fixated on draining every last bit of energy. Like, I understand, I get that you want to keep an advantage and you want to be the bigger man, but when it's detrimental to you and you're gassing out and you're not as quick as you once was, who's advising these people?
Yeah, I think it's difficult, isn't it? Because especially getting into UFC, you're going to pick. If you get offered a welterweight contract and you're a middleweight, probably you're going to take it, aren't you? Just to be into the big organizations. Yeah. Conor did it. He was a lightweight, and they offered him a featherweight contract, and you're going to take it, aren't you? No matter what, if you can do that extra £10. But looking forward to this weekend, we've got Corey Anderson versus Jan Blachowicz in the main event. It is a rematch. Jan Blachowicz won the first one, I believe. So he's going 1-up into this, and you saw him against Luke Rockhold at UFC 239. Absolutely. He dismantled Luke Rockhold. Rockhold still got a broken shin with that, and he's still waking up with nightmares. But could you see him as perhaps the next contender if he beats Corey Anderson?
I think you could put Donald Duck as the next contender. There's no one there. I think you literally you win one fight and you're going to be in the mix, man. There's no name, so you can propel yourself quickly. You have one decent victory, and you're all of a sudden you're in the mix for a title shot. So I'm looking forward to it. It'll be a good fight. Is it the most exciting fight in the world? Not really.
I think it's got more excitement from this weekend. I don't think people would have cared about it too much prior to what happened this weekend, but I think it's just got added a little bit more stardust
to because it's a light heavyweight fight, and
it's probably the next two in line. One's the next two in line.
But they will be the next two in lines. But for me, what do you think will be next for Jones? Do you think there'll be a rematch with Reyes?
I think so. I don't know where we fit it into the calendar, because I think International Fight Week will be Kamaru Usman and Masvidal. We've got Stipe Miocic and DC coming back at some point. Whether that's probably going to be, I would say September, but that's an Abu Dhabi card, so that's probably going to be Khabib. Probably August, I'd say. So maybe you can fill it in July. Again, I don't know if they're doing 2 cards in July. They did one. Yeah. They did 2 that month last year. So somewhere between July and August, they'd probably have to fit it in. But
I think
it's a difficult one to say.
I believe it has to be a rematch. There's no two way. Unless Jones goes up to heavyweight, it has to be a rematch.
I think that's the only excitement, really. You know, we're just talking. We've got Deontay Wilder versus Fury. I think they left that a little bit too long, having fights in between it. So I think if Jon Jones and Dominick Reyes want to have the rematch, it has to be immediate, because if they fight Corey Anderson or Blachowicz or Thiago Santos, they might lose. They might not get a chance again, and it loses its interest.
Look, the game, professional prize fighting is called prize fighting for a reason. So sometimes it's good to let a fight marinate. So, for example, Fury and Wilder, people are more excited now because Fury's got a few wins under his belt. Wilder,
He got cut in his last one pretty badly.
you know what annoys me about that is that Wilder lost every single minute of every second of that round. It was
Against Ortiz.
it was no against Fury.
Oh, against Fury,
Fury absolutely put a clinic on, but his
That
power
was more
show.
the robbery than Jones and Reyes.
Oh, that was absolutely disgraceful. But what? Why this fight? Let me tell you something. If there was a rematch straight away, people wouldn't want to have seen it because the fight was boring. People have amnesia. Apart from the last round, the fight was a snooze fest. Fury just kept him at bay and just bamboozled him.
That's what he does best, really, isn't it? It's, his distance is incredible. His head movement's incredible.
Yeah, absolutely.
He did it against Klitschko. He didn't go out there like Anthony Joshua did to finish him. He just played his game and he got the result.
I absolutely agree. The best fight, the most technically efficient heavyweight since Muhammad Ali, and I actually think he's better than Muhammad Ali because he's actually bigger. Take away the political side and the celebrity aspect. For someone to be 19, 20 stone and to move that comfortably and to hit that hard.
I wasn't moving that comfortably at 20 stone.
I'm not moving that comfortably at 15.5 stone. But so going back to what we're talking about is that sometimes it's good to let fights marinate. Now, with Reyes and Jones, the subplot's there, so you don't need to wait that long. There is a call for it. I can't think of any other matchup that I want to see Jones fight at the moment. Heavyweight, I know last week I said I wanted him to go to heavyweight. Looking at that performance now, he's not going to be able to take the He's not going to be able to take the power.
In fact, I think Adesanya's probably next. I think there's enough.
That's a super
enough
fight.
build up there. I think Adesanya's coming in. Should he beat Romero, who's doing backflips on the stage, which was the most incredible thing of the weekend.
Go on, show us some of your moves.
No, I'm good. Romero's got that.
Give us
but
something.
he's got fused discs in his
No.
neck,
Let me
and
see.
he's doing backflips.
Let me see.
Not today. Maybe on the next watch along. Who knows? But Adesanya versus Romero. If Adesanya gets past him, he should. I say he should do Romero.
Are you excited for it?
Oh yeah, Adesanya's an absolute laugh to watch, and I'm excited for that fight. I'm hoping Romero makes weight because if that doesn't, it's going to break my heart.
He has a problem, doesn't he?
He does with title fights.
What do you think? Do you think he takes him down easily, or how do you feel? I mean, he's a fucking stud of a wrestler, isn't he?
I think Romero, he's got all that power in his hand. I don't know if Adesanya would be too quick for him. He's an intelligent fighter, and his movement seems to be top notch. And we've only seen him. He's still very new. He's only been here 2.5. I think it's 3 years coming up now.
Yeah,
maybe 2 years. Between 2 and 3 years. So he's only had, I think it's 7 fights in the UFC, and he's already champion.
I mean, he walks to the cage like I would walk to the takeaway on Friday night. The way he dances, it's just unbelievable. I've never seen that.
It's incredible what he does, and I think that's the fight for Jon Jones. I think Adesanya needs to bulk up to 205. Now, they said it. Adesanya wants it at the Raiders Stadium at 2021. Preferably, I'd want that at MSG. I think that's such a way to end the year between those two for the light heavyweight title, hopefully. I think those two back and forth. I think Adesanya is the only one that really seems to get under Jon Jones' skin and seems to get him. We see that old Jon Jones back.
Yeah.
And I think that's the fight to make. I think heavyweight's dangerous for him because Francis Ngannou is a killer. Miocic is a killer. DC, you could do again, but again, we've already seen that fight twice.
He's not going to heavyweight.
So I think Adesanya is probably the fight to make.
And that's last week, I know I said I wanted him to go to heavyweight, but looking at the performance on Saturday, he needs a name, and Israel will give him. Get the fire in
again, another undefeated fighter at the moment.
Undefeated, but looking even when Jones, even the ring walk. I mean, I look at things. I look at everything in a fight, and it may sound silly, but usually he's pumped up. Jones, he's screaming. He just walked out to the ring. He looked frightened. He just looked like he didn't want to be.
It'd be interesting to see if anything comes out to say about an injury or something before the fight because he didn't look. He didn't look like the Jones that fought Thiago Santos or
didn't look sharp
or Smith or Gustafsson.
He just plodded along. He just did not look sharp. No agility. No. Usually he's doing front wheel kicks where he's doing 10 backward flips and
jumping knees and stuff.
A few jumping knees, but he just plodded forward and looked just headhunted for me. No movement, and for me it indicates lack of training. So whether there was an injury, whether he's taking them lightly, like I mentioned before, but something has gone on because that was not a vintage Jon Jones. Now, is he on a decline? That's another debate. Will we see the best of him?
He has got a decade of fights under his belt, so he's got a lot of mileage, and he's been through some wars. That DC fight, Gustafsson, he's been through the wars in that division, and maybe, coming into sport, did he come in at 21? He's the youngest champion, isn't he? But
he was the youngest
he came in
champion.
at like 21, so he's already been there 10 years, and that's a long time.
2011, he's been champion, and that's an unbelievable accolade. And I actually want people to comment and to tell me, do you think Jones is on the decline? Do you think we'll ever see the best of him? So I want people to let us know.
I think we need to see a fight up Jon Jones.
We need to see a fight up.
He's very calm. He's very not boring, but he's very collected with his thoughts at the moment. We've not seen a rash Jon Jones.
Like when he's in a big fight, the DC fights are when he won the title against Shogun. When you see when the camera comes to him and he does his usual, he turns around and he's like, whoa, he's screaming, and he's like, I don't know if he did it like that. He's like pumped up, he's screaming, the fucking juices are flowing. I didn't see that on Saturday night. I saw a man who didn't want to be there. Lucky to come out with the victory. I think Reyes was hard done to.
I think if we see Reyes rematch and Adesanya, that'd be a good year for him. Whether he wins those two fights, I don't know.
He's put a spanner in the works, Reyes, though, hasn't he?
He has.
Could we see Reyes and Adesanya for the title? If there's a rematch. Now, I think if Dana's looking to do Adesanya and Jones, I think he stays clear with Reyes.
That's a more appealing fight for me. Being, as an Adesanya fan, that's probably a more appealing fight for me to see than Adesanya Reyes. I think Reyes.
No, I'd only said Reyes if Reyes beats Jones in the rematch, and then there's a bout so he can be a two-weight world champion. Yeah. For me, you've got Dana's a master.
We've got to be careful with this two-weight world champion as well, because it's killing fights and divisions.
It does.
The flyweight division's an absolute mess, despite Henry Cejudo saying he'd save it.
And then open.
No one's champion. It's vacant at the moment. We're fighting. It's on a fight night card for Figueiredo versus Benavidez, so it's not even on a pay-per-view anymore.
But the problem is Dana's a master at promoting a fighter. So do I think Israel's going to jump up straight away? No, because you need to build the foundation. Let him get 5, 6, 7. He's only just recently become champion. Let him build his name up.
Well, Dana White's stipulation was if he gets past Romero and Paulo Costa, he can have the fight.
But then that was pre-Reyes through that spanner in the works. So if Reyes wins the rematch, then it might be like, okay, well, I've got a chance to be a two-weight world champion. But for me, I think the rematch will happen, and for me, I think if Jones performs like that, he'll get beaten.
Yeah, and I think on that note, that is a perfect time to wrap up the show. It's been a fantastic week. We will be back next week for Corey Anderson, Blachowicz, to recap that. Make sure to drop this video a like. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Was it a robbery? Was it not? How did you score the fight as well? And what's next for Jon Jones? But yes, subscribe, follow us on social media, and we'll see you on the next video.